Between adventures, every party just needs a break. Just like in the real world, we all need vacations and weekends. It just happens that in the real world, we take weekends to take a break from spreadsheets, whereas adventures take weekends off of saving the world. There are a lot of different benefits to adding downtime to your game. Firstly, it really helps fix the pacing of your adventure. Going from plot point to plot point, your party is likely going to feel like they've been railroaded. Downtime is a great chance to relieve them of that feeling because you get to ask them, what do you want to do, in the most open-ended way possible. It also helps with the adventure within the adventuring world feel more authentic as time goes forward. What I mean by that is a lot of adventures tend to have the problem of going from lowly peasants to being able to fight off a demigod within a month or two of in-game time. This is usually because the campaign doesn't give the party a chance to breathe or slow down between events. It's just action, 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 long rest, long rest, long rest, long rest. End of the campaign, you're level 20 before the end of the year. Funnily enough, in the current Strixhaven game I'm running it so sometimes even months or weeks will be skipped within one session, and it's fun seeing my party get adjusted to that type of game because they're so used to playing in games where you have action, 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 and it's hard for them to grasp the idea where it's like, oh yeah, there's going to be a month where you're just at school. Now, I'm not saying you have to go that far. In fact, I don't even run these time skips as downtime. I just skip them. But there are benefits to pacing out your story beats. Okay, I think you get why it's good, but what actually is good downtime? Can there be bad downtime? To me, there can be. Bad downtime is when a session is grinded to a halt by something that could have easily taken way less time. For example, you never really need a shopping session. If we're being real, each player should take 5 minutes at the absolute longest to figure out what they want. The max amount of time in that case would be just under half an hour, and I've never seen a D&D session be short at half an hour. I'm also not a fan of the shopping session because I feel like you can do so much more with downtime than just shopping. Downtime is the party's opportunity to experience freedom and to explore the world and do whatever they want. Downtime can just mean spending gold and upgrading gear and crafting items, but it can also be a great chance to let the players explore the world in the way they want to. This means that you shouldn't be afraid to have an encounter during your downtime. In fact, some of my most memorable encounters have happened during downtime sessions. They don't have to be too tough or too complicated. In fact, if you want that, a short combat can really remind the party of how much their power level has grown over time. Coinciding with this, don't be afraid to actually give your party things to do during downtime. Or more accurately, don't be afraid to allow your party to do things you weren't prepared for. For some reason, in my games, my parties always like to turn to arena fighting and illegal sports betting, but maybe your party is interested in taking side jobs for a local postal service, or maybe they all want to go horseback riding together. The point is that you shouldn't know what they're going to do until they tell you, and you shouldn't lead them to do what you want them to do either. If they ask if something exists in your city and you didn't create it on the spot. If you're a brand new DM, this can be intimidating and, in fact, difficult, but the only way to get good at it is to do it. If it sucks, it doesn't matter, as the party's going to forget it as they go right back to the story, and if they like it, they're going to probably remember it for a very long time after that. Downtime is also a good opportunity to let your party tie up some loose ends. Party members can write back to their families to let them know how the adventure has been going. Or maybe they find someone or something that helps complete their backstory. I would make sure to do this, especially if you felt that your game's narrative hasn't been focused on the characters in your party. And by that I mean, no matter how interesting your party's characters actually are, the story wouldn't really change if you were to swap them out with any other capable adventurers. I don't think this is a bad thing at all if this is the case. You need to make your games while keeping in mind that someone might not make it to a session, or someone might want to sunset a character at any time, or they could just die to an unlucky roll. But Downtime is a great opportunity to let the characters exist uniquely in the world. Back in an old D&D game of mine, I played a High Elf Wizard who was overall kind of a jerk. I found I wasn't enjoying playing this character in that way because I wasn't sure if my friends could tell the difference between my wizard being a jerk and me being a jerk. In fact, I kind of just stopped role-playing as this character at all because I found that I didn't feel comfortable not knowing if my friends understood that I wasn't trying to be a real-life a-hole. During one of our downtimes, my wizard found a ghost girl who needed crossing from the living world to the afterlife, and I got the opportunity to explore my character's selfishness. And after it was finished, I felt that I could comfortably roleplay my wizard again because of that character arc he got to go through that could only have happened in Downtime. Also, this makes it sound like I took up a lot of time in the game, but in reality this was over 2 instances of Downtime, and it really didn't take up more time than what anyone else was doing. Which actually leads to my next point. Don't be afraid of having your party split up or do things on their own during downtime. Downtime usually happens in places of relative safety, so the motto of don't split the party doesn't really apply here. If you're going to do this, I recommend doing a cut to and from sequence, meaning that we start off with one player and what they're doing, then a few minutes later, like a movie, cut to what another player is doing. And then a few minutes later, cut back to what the first player was doing, and back and forth in as much time as you need to finish what everyone is doing. This means that if you need a 10-minute scene with one player, the rest of the party only have to wait in intervals of 5 minutes, making it a lot less tedious to sit through. It can also save time if the player needs to think of or look up something. You can go back to what the other players are doing, and then once they've figured it out, you can return to them. I would also highly recommend watching the clock. It's very easy for me to get overly excited during a scene and then realize the rest of the party hasn't done anything at all in the last 15 minutes. So I recommend having a clock open on either your computer or just have one in the room that you can glance at to make sure you're not going overtime. And hopefully with all that, you'll now be able to give your parties more interesting downtime. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on future uploads. And thank you again. This is the end of the video.